What's your never again story? Let myself being manipulated because I'm so understanding. There was a time I used to curse myself for having less than average patience level. Now when I look back, I kind of thank myself for not being unreasonably patient. It saved me a lot of time that I would have spent putting up with things that I do not inherently have tolerance for. Still, I do wish to become more understanding. Don't know how though. Ignoring obvious warning signs because they're hot. An innocent one. Slept in the ice hotel. Unique experience. But never need to do that again. That's how stays unique in memory as well. Too many. A few highlights. Never again will I offer to help someone move homes in a short time span with unnecessary pressure and monumental obligations to get them resituated. Never will I mix too many types of alcohol while day drinking in the sun. Never again will I overlook deal breakers. Because he is the perfect man in every other regard. There's a reason it was a deal breaker before. My friend was moving to a different state, which was a 6-hour drive. She asked me to help, and I said yes. My husband and I went to her place and started packing our car. It was bursting full, and she said we could fit more, and started piling more stuff in the back. I said I didn't feel comfortable driving that far with the entire back window covered. And she said, well, we are just going to have to make sacrifices, aren't we? Never again. Stepping outside of my job duties at work. I made a calendar of useful dates one time. I became calendar girl for the whole department after Nope. Ritsuko? I'm happy to see this reference. Never dating for potential. This. Never again. I will never again allow a friend to stay at my house for over a weekend. It took me almost a year to pry that fuckers off my couch, and then I had to get the couch destroyed because of MRSA. FMRSA, just wow. What's MRSA? A very contagious form of staph infection. After my last ex, I vowed to never again date people I didn't see a future with and to up my standards. Anytime you truly want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards. Tony Robbins. I'll never get into a relationship unless I have my mess cleaned up. That's the T. Felt this one. I thought I was stronger than I actually was after a breakup, and I jumped into another relationship. I love my current partner to death, but I definitely should have taken time to heal first, so he wouldn't have to deal with my unresolved bullshit. Letting doctors gaslight me or make me think my concerns aren't valid or rooted in anything substantial. Ignore my gut instincts when it comes to relationships. Also never take a man's words seriously unless he can back it up with actions. Overnight oats. It's just cold porridge? I don't get it. This reply was the perfect palate cleanser lol. I will never not pay for a cabin or a paid camping site at Mammoth Cave in Kai. Hiking 3 miles to our campsite in pouring rain is a big no for me. I love how oddly specific this is, but as someone who plans on visiting Mammoth Cave in the coming years, I will jot it down. Bleaching my dark brown hair blonde. Fun as a one-time thing, but my hair was ruined for a year or two after. I'm a redhead, and it took over a month of processing just to get it bleached to the shade I wanted. It was a fun change, but I ended up dyeing it red as soon as my roots started showing because the maintenance was going to be a nightmare. Ended up having it blonde for less time than it took to get it blonde to begin with. Go out on my kayak without a PFD. I was paddling a very shallow stream. It was only about 4 feet deep. It's a side stream off the Savannah River. So I would paddle up the stream, get to the main river, and paddle down the river to where I launched. I did it a few dozen times, and it was my favorite paddle. One day I got hot and wanted to get off at a sandbar, only I misstepped and tipped the kayak. My foot became tangled in something, and I couldn't get it undone. The current was pulling me under, and I was unable to grab anything except my kayak, which was also being pulling downstream. I did not have enough core strength to reach for my foot to untangle it. I was holding on to my kayak for dear life. I knew if I let it go it would go downstream and I would not have anything to hold me up. After what seemed like hours, was maybe 5 minutes, Some other paddlers came through and helped me out. I then got a stern lecture on the importance of a PFD. I went out and bought a very pretty and expensive one that I love wearing now. Future faking. Boyfriends love bombing you and making you think you'll both have a long future together. Mrs. Surname. Sounds lovely. I can see us moving in together in 1 to 2 years. You said this after 2 months of dating lol. Let's go in a holiday together and then never returning to the topic. Also, false promises. Let's go away for the weekend and then nothing happens. I've heard so many false promises and excuses. Nowadays a man's word is worth nothing to me unless their actions match their words. Isn't that just lying? I will never again date a man who says all his exes were to blame for his past breakups. If a person blames everyone in their past like that and has nothing good to say about anyone from the past, it's now something I'm very cautious of, because now I realize that he is the common denominator in all of those failed past relationships, and it probably means he isn't fixing something within that is wrong with him. You learn a lot from someone based on how they speak about their exes / last breakup or family. Getting trapped in a relationship I don't really want because it's hard to hurt their feelings. How do you navigate through this? Divorce. But not until the kids were raised. I struggle getting close because I don't ever want to be trapped like that again. He wasn't an awful person, but he wasn't right for me, and I always knew it. Oh, and loads of therapy. Ha. Never again date men that put in the minimum effort, if any, just because you feel lonely and you feel validated that someone is giving you attention and telling you that you are pretty. Being optional. Someone doesn't love you when a bad day arises and they cut you off. I'm worth more. Withholding love in a relationship as punishment is cruel. Thanks for saying this. I think it sums up my last relationship. Starved for any kind of tenderness. Okay, so, being born. Yes. Ignoring red flags because of sexual energy / physical attraction. Not worth it. My grandmother told me when I was 12. Sometimes a man can brush past you, lay his hand on your arm or anything else really innocent, and you can feel a spark so intense it is like a lightning bolt. You can be so physically attracted to them that you ignore everything you shouldn't. That is not love. If you don't know them and feel that way, get yourself away. And if he pursues, or you decide to entertain his mess, do it with a piece of furniture between you and him until you see good true nature. And now the caveat to that is I can separate emotion / sex. Most of the time. Those were some of the best worst train wrecks I've ever ridden to the scene of the accident lol. Never again live with the messiest dirtiest person I have ever met in my life. I don't know what I was thinking. Riding drop towers or roller coasters or really any amusement rides that goes more than like 3 to 4 meters above ground. I have never been as brain shutting down and genuinely believing I'll die a violent death terrified. F those things. I used to love amusement parks before getting into a car accident. I have no idea how my brain correlated the two, but I hate the feeling of going fast and not having control now. Smaller roller coasters are still okay, but most rides at Six Flags are a big nope for me now. Befriending ex and welcoming any of them back to my life. I feel this one. Never try to date someone or be friends with someone who can't respect your boundaries. A sorry and a "I'll do better next time" are just words they say to avoid conflict. It's what you want to hear, but not the reality. Can forgive but don't forget. I try to give second chances, but after that it's a no. Learning this the hard way recently. It's so endlessly frustrating when you lay out a boundary. They cross it, you talk to them about it, and the cycle repeats. Yeah, it's hard for me too. I just wanna be loved and respected. Is that so hard? But yeah, I had to distance myself from those people. I would never give a recovering addict a chance again. Edit. I used quotations because the man I'm referring to wasn't really recovering at all. He lied to me about where he was at in his recovery. When we moved in together way too soon, he was drinking after work in the weekends. It gradually got a lot worse when he went through something traumatic, and I ended up being in the receiving end of gaslighting and other types of emotional abuse. I would have my guards up in the future when it comes to addiction. But I do believe 100% that people can recover and are deserving of love. Fix a man's life for him. I had to help him pick a major, figure out if he wanted to go to grad school or not, handle his mental health issues because he wouldn't get a therapist, and support his SoundCloud rapping, all while being told I'm not good enough for him, too alt, not religious, too radical, too loud, etc. OMG, not the SoundCloud rapping giving me flashbacks of my ex. Situationships. No men no problem tbh /view 200d. I will never give anyone, including men, the ability to consider me as a second choice or an option. You either want me or you don't. Fuck yes or no is a good fallback for me.